G'day everybody, I'm Patrick. Welcome to the workshop. Last night I was reading my 3-year-old son a book and there was a fishing rod in it. And he was so intrigued about the whole process that he wouldn't go to bed until I'd showed him my fishing rod. And then he asked if I could make him one. And I have a workshop and I like making stuff, so I said yes, and I have to bring him home one tonight. So you are going to come along and watch me make a fishing rod for a child. It'll be a toy. It will not function. It will have some string on it. It'll be made from a variety of pieces of timber. And along the way, there'll be some tips and tricks on how to make some weird shaped objects that you can apply in whatever else you're making. Thanks for indulging me and my 3-year-old child. So, as you can imagine, at my disposal, I have an entire professional woodworking workshop to make this thing, and plenty of offcuts. This is some 25mm dowel. I think that'll be the handle. I guess I want him to be able to put 2 hands on it, so I might make it about 150mm long. This is about, I think, 9mm dowel. I'll have to measure it. Yeah, measures about 8. Pretty flexible, so I don't think it's gonna snap. Also really nice and light, so I'll use that for the rod part. I've got some really nice strong nylon twine for who knows for what reason. It was in my box of ropes, so that is going to be the fishing line itself. I need to make some sort of reel. I'm actually not going to make it wind the string onto the reel because he's 3 and that is just going to get tangled up. So the reel is going to turn, but it's not going to have the string attached to the reel. The string will just be attached to the end. On the end of the rope, I want a hook because he loves cranes. And I'm sure he's going to try and hook things with this thing, but I'm also going to embed a tiny magnet in the hook so I can potentially make some little fish with a washer in them or something that he can pick up using the magnet as well as the hook. So those are the components I need to make. We'll have 25mm dowel handle, 8mm dowel rod, string attached to the end, some sort of hook shape that has a magnet embedded in it, and then somehow this needs to have a reel on it, which I think I'll just make out of 16mm plywood that he can turn. So, parts that we need to do, we need to embed the 8mm dowel. Processes. We need to embed this 8mm dowel into this 25mm dowel and make sure it's in the center. So I'll show you a technique for doing end-on drilling, as well as marking the center of a round object. We need to somehow, we'll cut a little circle out of this and make sure it's round, and then we need to put that through the center of this so that it can turn. So again, just a simple drilling operation, and then a little bit of fine shaping and embedding the magnet in the hook. My method for finding the center of stuff like this, I mean, there's a million ways you could do it, but this is 25mm. I'm gonna set my little sliding engineer square to 12mm instead of 12.5 because the thickness of the pencil is about 0.5 of a mil. And I'm going to use my sliding engineer square to mark a line across. And I'm gonna turn that 90 degrees, mark the other line, and they've lined up, which is perfect. Turn it 90 degrees, mark that, 90 degrees again, mark that, and then I've got my center line. Very often commercially available dowel is not perfectly round. I don't know, just because it is cheaply made and can expand and contract with the temperature or as it dries. So it's worth doing lines, not just a single line or 2 lines, but multiple lines, and that will get you your little cross in the center. When you're drilling into end grain, the drill is going to want to find the softest part. So it is worth using a center punch to put a little divot in there to make sure that our drill actually does sit in that location. Now my thin dowel, which I want to go into here, measures 8.5mm. But like I said, it's never exactly round. It actually measures 8mm in one direction and kind of 8.5 across the other. I think it's probably worth, this might be overkill, but test everything. I'm going to test my 8mm and my 8.5mm brad point drill bit in some other material and see if I can tap this in easily or not. Not my actual piece, but a test piece. We'll be doing this drilling on a drill press, which will make the hole straighter and less likely to wobble, and will also allow us to hold this straight up and down. .5 it is. So we want to drill a hole vertically in this. If you don't have a drill press and you're making a children's toy, you could just do this by hand, clamp it into something, get it as straight as you can and drill in. I'm going to show you how to do it on a drill press and get it perfect, just because why not? Might as well, learn something along the way. Most drill presses allow you to tilt the table. So in theory, you could rotate the table 90 degrees, clamp this on. That would be one way of doing it, but it really only gets you orientation vertically. It doesn't prevent you from tilting it from side to side. I found a simpler way, especially if the piece is short enough and your table on your drill press will drop low enough, is just to use a really simple corner jig. These are just multi-purpose jigs that I use for so many things in my shop. They're made from plywood, they're glued and screwed. I use them to hold a panel vertically on the workbench, just clamp a panel to it if I need to sand the edge. I use them to get square sometimes if I'm gluing some casework together and I can clamp a horizontal piece and a vertical piece to it. We're going to turn that on its edge, place it on the drill press table like that, and that corner gets us a perfect straight up and down. Now, if you were doing this purposefully to clamp dowel into, you could drill a hole into the side here so you could fit a clamp through. I'm just going to double-sided tape the dowel into the corner there, and that'll work just fine. It would be good to clamp this to the drill press table if you needed it to stay in exactly the right position, especially if you were doing a few of these. I honestly think I can get away with just holding this in place and double-sided taping it into the jig. So that's what I'm going to do. Now all we need to do is lower the drill press table, decide how far we want the drill bit to go into the timber, make sure it's firm, and drill our hole. I'm going to create the reel using a hole saw. That'll create a little circle. I'll just put one of them either side of the rod and connect them with a dowel. And so he can turn this handle, which does nothing, but he'll get a kick out of it. In order to put the little cross dowel through to act as the essentially the axle for those two reels, I need to drill a hole straight through this dowel and out the other side. I'm going to do that on the drill press, but I'm going to sit the dowel in a V-groove jig. By bringing the tip of the brad point bit right to the edge of this piece of dowel, I can see that it's going to be straight up and down. You could draw a cross line on it if you feel like you need a bit more help seeing that it's straight up and down, but I can see well enough there. So all I need to do is hold this jig in position or clamp it in position, slide the dowel to the mark that I have, hold it firmly and drill straight through. Lovely. Hole in the end, hole for the reel. Now we just need to make the circles, make a hook, put a magnet in it, maybe make some fish. A hole saw makes a pretty messy circle, but I can just smooth that off, I can sand it off later. One advantage is that it gives me a circle that has a center hole already in it, which means I know the exact location of the center. If you don't have a hole saw like this, you could cut this on a lathe, which would take me a lot longer. You could rough cut it on a bandsaw and then smooth it off with sandpaper. If it needs to be a perfect circle, you could use a circle jig with a router. I have a video on that. I think I did it in the last week or so. So check that out. It shows you another way to cut circles, especially larger ones, using a trimmer router. Okay, so components are done, more or less. Hole in there. Here's my rod, little tiny hole in there for the string. Here's a reel and essentially a nut or a washer that goes on the other side, and some little other handly bits. I'm gonna glue together the parts that I can so that then I can paint them separate colors and then do the final assembly after the paint has dried. Tiny bit of just regular tight bond. Whenever you're putting a dowel into a hole, the fit is generally very, very tight. And if you put too much glue in there, it just will not go in. So this applies if you're trying to do dowel joinery or anything like that. So you just want a fine coating on the edges. It's gonna act like a piston and it's gonna try and push the piece of dowel back out. Okay, I was able to get that in. No squeeze out, and that'll be enough. It's not holding up a bridge, right? Okay, I can now glue the axle into the reel. Just a tiny bit proud so I can sand it off. All right, that's the reel, turns like that. That will fit in there with the nut behind it, and then I'll sand that off. But I really want the reel and the rod to be a separate color because why not? So I'll have to glue that together afterwards. But I'm gonna let that glue dry for 20 minutes. There's a tiny, tiny bit of dowel sticking out the top there that I wanna clean up. You could sand it, but it would stay round and you might damage the veneer on the plywood. You could use a Japanese flush trim saw, which I love. Very flexible saw, does a wonderful job at cutting off dowels and things like that are poking out of the surface, exposed tenons, etc. Or you could use a chisel. Now, this is a really tiny piece of dowel. The temptation is just to square the chisel up to it and whack through it, but it will not give you a good result. I find a lot of folks who aren't super familiar with using a chisel think that a sharp chisel can just kind of plow through wood. The best way to do it is to take really fine slices. So, first thing we're gonna do, rather than squaring the chisel up like that, we're gonna put it so just the corner is touching there. And we're gonna take one clean pass that took off about 2 mil, just on the side there. And then I'm gonna keep creeping the chisel along, taking off a little bit at a time. So by taking 1 mil off at a time and just doing it in little tiny strips, you get no tear out. You're in control of your chisel the whole time. You can prevent the chisel from diving into the work, and you can get a really clean finish that will clean up with, a couple quick rubs of the sandpaper. I'm gonna pop a bit of color on these. I'll be using this high flow acrylic from a company called Global Colors. It's a very, very liquidy, very high pigmented paint that just works well on timber. It dries almost immediately. It's water-based, very easy to use. Okay, so I have made a fishing rod and some fish. The fish have little magnets embedded in them, and the fishing rod has, well, I'm deep in the chaos right now. I found one of these little magnets. Rather than building a hook, I just used this because it's yellow, the same color as the fishing rod. And I made some little fish. They have a magnet inside them, and I need to put some color on them, and then it'll basically be done. All right, it's the end of the day, have to go home, but I did manage to make and finish the fishing rod. As I mentioned, I have no intention of making the line real on this thing. I think for the age of my little one, it's just gonna be too frustrating and not necessary right now. Magnet on the end. The magnet picks up the fishes very satisfyingly. The little handle turns. The little fish have magnets embedded in them, so they're totally glued in there. It's no choking hazard or anything. Look, I love making fine furniture. I get so much joy out of making beautiful pieces and spending literally months making, very nice things. But I get so much joy out of making things rapidly, especially for my kid. I am happy in my workshop making anything, whether it's, a funny little kid's toy or something, exquisite. I just want to be here making stuff. So this might be a bit of an odd project, but all of the skills I've learned as a furniture maker help me make whatever I want. And all of the experimentation I've done making all kinds of other weird stuff in one way or another informs my furniture making. So as far as I'm concerned, make whatever you want, make stuff all the time, and you will have a happy life. Thanks a lot for watching. Maybe I'll just start a whole channel making children's toys. Let me know if there's something in particular you want me to make. There'll be some links down below to some of the products I've used. And see you next week. Thanks a lot.